Welcome to the Team Real World Radio Show on 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
My name is Maurice Velasquez.
And I'm John Shirk.
And we are Team Real World. You were supposed to join me on that one, man. What's the matter with you?
Go again.
Oh, great. We are Team Real
World.
Oh, man. See, this is what happened. All right, we're going to have to start this again. And we are
Team Real World.
Hey, I forgot to tell you. Did I tell you we got a comment on Facebook?
Oh, we did?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. They loved the show.
Uh-huh.
Actually, we've been getting quite a handful. I just haven't been updating you on that. But here's the one I liked the most recently. Maurice, we really like the show. Okay?
Yeah.
But you guys are having way too much fun. So I messaged him because it was on
that caption, that description, I think, that could trail us in a whole bunch of different meetings.
I know.
I don't think that's just the radio.
I know. So I asked him, I said, well, that's great. I'm glad you think we're having fun. Did it help any? He says, I think so.
Yeah.
I said, well, did you have fun? He said, oh, it was great. Listen, and so, no, I mean, he did get a lot of stuff out of it, but it was really cool that he captured that part of what we do. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are Team Real World. Our slogan is very simple, is we're all about real problems, real solutions, and we make it
really fun.
Really fun. Our website is www.teamrealworld.com, and our phone number is 225-772-4357. You can also find us on Facebook, and just type in Team Real World, and you'll have us there. Email us also at info@teamrealworld.com. Man, that's a long script. That's a lot of data.
I know. I know.
You know, today we have a great show. We've been looking at the different requests we've had, and we've touched on this before. Okay, and you know we always say this show has got to be the most important. Well,
yeah,
it is. It just is. All right, because without this being a success in your company, there is no company.
That's exactly right.
Is that? Am I overstating it?
Right.
Am I overstating it?
Oh yes.
No,
you're not. I mean,
so if this one area of your company is not working, what happens to the company, John?
Bye. No more company.
I mean, is it a probability or is it a certainty?
Well, it's a probability. It's just 100% probability.
Yeah, or somebody's gonna have to buy you out.
That's right.
You can make money selling the thing.
Yeah,
okay?
If your dad's really, really rich and he just wants to keep sending you money, maybe 99.99%.
That's right. So I know we usually say time management, man. If your time management is bad, everything's bad. If you say your management skills is terrible, but this one is so objective.
Yeah.
Okay. And the audio clips and video clips we have are not about football, but boy, you're going to hear us talk about football because it's all about looking at the scoreboard and not being able to hide the fact that you're the fourth quarter. It's only 3 minutes left, and you're about 21 points behind. It doesn't matter how you feel, what your intentions were. Bottom line. If sales aren't there, your business is going nowhere.
That's exactly right. It doesn't matter how good looking you are. It doesn't matter how impressed you are with your own product. It doesn't really matter how tight your operation is to deliver something. If it's not sold, you got nothing.
And it doesn't matter what your sales reps are telling you that it's coming down the pipeline.
Oh, you just went right there.
I know.
Didn't you?
I mean,
you just went right there.
It's not. It's not about the Broncos having the best football offense in the season. It's about who's scoring touchdowns.
That's right.
And if you can only do it 2 points at a time with a safety at the beginning, okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be pretty. It just needs to get done.
That's right.
So for all of you business owners out there, this is for you, okay? Because if your business is not growing, you have to ask yourself, first of all, are we killing this thing with overloaded expenses? But no one gets rich by cutting expenses.
That's a fact.
Okay? You only keep yourself out of poverty, okay? Yep. But if your business is not growing in sales, there's only one place to look at, and that is where? Sales.
That's right.
Okay? So business owners, this is all about your company, okay? If you have delegated this, you better have delegated to somebody who's knowing how to do it.
That's right. This just before we did this show, I had a meeting with one of our clients, and I had the CEO and his newly hired COO in the room and his vice president of sales.
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking through lines of communication. And the CEO was used to having direct conversations with the vice president of sales, and the COO was feeling a little uncomfortable, like he's getting end-arounded.
Right,
and
right.
He said, "Can't I just collect the report and give you the data?" And the CEO said, "Yeah, but I want to see the sales guy's face when he reads me that report because I want to know what's going on."
I tell you, listen. All right, so I think I know who you're talking about. I think it was one of my sales meetings. No. All right, so business owners, if you're driving right now and you're safely to where you can call your sales manager and ask him to tune in, tell him to tune in. If you're anywhere where you're having it online and you're recording this, have them listen to it. If you want to capture this video afterwards because you need somebody else to listen to it, go to our website, send us an email. We'll get you the link to this. This is a very important segment, radio show. And we're actually going to do 2 of these. This is part 1 of 2, okay?
And I'll throw one more comment in there as well. If you're not the owner of the company that you work at, however important you think this is to the owner, it's more.
Oh, absolutely.
Whatever. If you think, oh no, he really cares about this.
Yeah.
issue.
So we're going to cover a lot of great stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the first, let's start off with this one. Okay. Again, like what John mentioned, it doesn't matter what's being promised. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what the intentions. It doesn't matter what you have down the pipeline.
That's right.
The only thing that matters is the scoreboard.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine writing a check for your mortgage payment, and on the check, instead of a dollar figure, it just said good intentions? Paid to the order of such and such bank.
Look,
I mean well.
I know. Or next month, I'll send you 2 checks.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Sales
Yeah.
is really easy to manage. No, it isn't. No, it's easier to manage if the sales managers and the owners get aligned on this basic concept, okay? That it is all about objective performance.
Yes. Measurable.
And that means because sales is not hard to figure out.
Yep. In sales,
has it happened or not?
In sales, if you can't measure it, it's not real.
And the only way you can measure it is you look at your process and you say, where is the signed form? Where is the signed agreement? And if that within your company is what determines the sale, then that's what it counts as. It's not, well, I'm going to get that Friday. No, well, have you gotten it yet? Are you going to get it Friday by 5 o'clock? If the end of for example, this month, the end of the month is the end of the month is Friday, so it better be in by 5 o'clock, not 2 days later, not
exactly.
4. It's very much. Have we run out of time on the scoreboard? Then whatever the score is at the end of that scoreboard clock, that's your sales.
That's right.
And so as you hire salespeople, make sure you communicate, and your sales manager is communicating that a good, productive, healthy, viable progress in sales, everyone has to understand it's all about objective performance.
And the sooner you and your whole team are on that page, the better, because there's just a desire to not feel like you're on the hot seat. No one wants to feel like they're on the hot seat if they don't have to. It's just that it's just part of life if you're in sales.
That's
right.
So
the sooner you're there and everybody gets over the hump that no one's being mean to anybody. If you're playing football and you're not keeping score, then you're really not playing football.
Right.
If you're doing sales and you're not counting stuff, you're just really not doing sales. You might be doing customer relations, and you might. I'm not saying it isn't of value. It's just not sales.
And hopefully you'll learn. Hopefully you'll learn through this radio show is that the more objective you keep it, then the easier it is to manage it and to be able to improve it. So the first thing to remember is that it is objective. Okay, it is objective. The other thing to look at is that it is routine.
Yes.
Okay, it's in order for you to create a very successful sales department and a very successful team. Okay, is to realize that the effectiveness of sales can only really happen on a routine basis.
Can I just make a slogan here or maybe a statement? If you could just hang on to this shocking notion to all of our listeners. The end of the month comes with alarming regularity.
So does Mondays.
Mondays come with alarming
So do
regularity.
Fridays.
And Fridays at 5 o'clock.
And I know there's a bunch of salespeople going out there going, no, man, I'm doing great in sales. I'm doing great in sales. But that's like Babe Ruth saying, I'm good at home runs. Yeah, but you strike out more times than not.
Yeah.
And there's only one Babe Ruth every 15 teams.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying? If even that many.
Yeah.
Okay? But in order for you to grab your everyday good sales rep and make him great sales rep, you have to teach them routines, weekly routines. We're going to cover a lot more of that on the back end of the segment, okay? But for now, keep those two things in mind. It's all about objective performance, all right? What's the scoreboard? Are we winning or winning out? How much time do we have left? And what's our game plan to succeed, right?
Exactly, yep.
And number two, is there a routine around your sales department? Okay, if you don't, I think we got a few more seconds here. If we don't, what happens? Everyone starts filling up their time in way different ways.
Yes.
Okay, not necessarily bad. Okay, but what it do is it'll create a lot of confusion.
That's right.
A tremendous amount of confusion. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't forget, you are listening to Talk 107.3 FM
WBRP.
Welcome back to the Team Real World Radio Show on 107.3 FM
WBRP.
All right, we're talking about sales.
Yes.
I mean, let's get into it.
All right.
All right. Here's a huge misunderstandanding, or perhaps I'm gonna kill a sacred cow here.
Do it.
Okay?
One big stab.
One big
Let's do
stab.
it.
One
That's
big
right.
stab. One
Yeah.
big stab. And after this, after we talk about this for a couple minutes, we're going to get into the whole routine thing. What do we mean by sales is a routine? Okay, and we're going to show you. We're going to let you listen to a clip from a really good movie, Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh yes. Oh,
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Really good movie. All right. So here it is. Ready? One. Okay. All right. Sales reps, listen. Okay. Sales managers, get used to saying this. Success in sales is not primarily about your product.
Interesting.
Let that sink in.
How come you
Okay.
didn't become a wallpaper hanger
All right.
like Sam?
So here's
Well, you see, Sam always had this idea that
okay. So I jumped the gun there to press the button. So here, what the clip you're about to hear is from a movie called Avalon. Okay, and it's a father who's a sales rep, and he has his son in the car with him, and they're doing sales calls. And his son starts asking questions, and his father explains to him. And listen to what he says. He actually talks about what makes the difference in sales. All right. So let's take a look at it, and we'll comment on the back end.
Yeah. Okay.
How come you didn't become a wallpaper hanger like Sam?
well, you see, Sam always had this idea that doing manual labor had no dignity, but selling was security, he said. No matter where you are, no matter what you're selling, you can always make a living.
Can you sell anything?
Anything, I can sell anything. But see, it's all a question of being able to talk to people. The product doesn't make any difference. You're selling yourself.
Can you sell model trains?
As many as they can make.
Can you sell...
Wow.
Very interesting.
Did you hear what he said about the product?
Said it didn't really matter what the product was.
It didn't really matter what the product was.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? If the product's not the primary thing, what is it? It's can you talk to people? Mm-hmm. And that's what he means by selling yourself.
Now, I'll just, because there's going to be people who are going to say, wait a minute, we're not talking about a kind of fraudulent selling where it's, we're taking things people don't need, they can't afford.
We're
shoving
talking
in their
about
face.
real product.
Well, what we're saying is that sales is not a process of putting a product in front of somebody's face and just saying, here it is.
See, I meet sales reps, and we hire a lot of sales reps, okay?
A lot, yeah.
Because we get rid of a lot of sales reps. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, but one of the big traps that sales reps bring into the game is that if I just knew about the product more, I would be a better salesperson. No.
so true.
First, you get to first base, then you get to second base.
Right.
So it's not a thing as the product doesn't matter, because you'll hear us in the radio show how important product knowledge is. Because by the time you have to round third base, you better be rounding third base.
Right.
But if you're trying to round third base when you really are not even stepping on first, you're messing this whole thing up.
Right.
So product knowledge has its place, but it's after the ability to have some basic communication skills of being able to talk with people, not talk at people.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a sacred cow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, absolutely. There's this whole image of salespeople and how sales gets done is somebody who is so uncontrollably, overwhelmingly extroverted that they just this massive energy and words comes out of the front of them, and some person in front of them just irresistibly signs a document, and that's what sales is.
Right.
Nothing could be further from the
That's right.
truth.
It's the ability to talk with people.
Yeah.
It's the ability to have good, professional, calm conversations. Okay.
Yep.
About your need and about how we can help you. Now, sometimes they become good. Negotiation can be tough, but it's still professional. It's not this emotional thing of,
Exactly. And I'll tell you, depending on the situation, if the prospect is fairly introverted, the key to the whole process is that sales rep's ability to be quiet and allow 15 seconds of silence after a question.
And we'll get into a lot more of that aligning personality, because if sales is about connecting with people, which is the whole issue of having a discussion with somebody. Well, you better be good at aligning to their personality.
I'll tell you, honestly, we've seen a number of sales reps not make it with us because they thought they could just out-talk.
Well, and because they knew the product.
Yeah.
Most of our sales reps come into our industry, come into our company with years in the industry.
Yeah.
Okay? But they do not know how to align their personality styles with others. So they're not really having discussions with people. They're just trying to get them to sign the dotted line. Well, it doesn't take long before people realize these sales reps are not selling to your style.
Right.
Why? Because they hear our programs, and they've learned how to actually be talked to more professionally. So this brings to mind another video, okay? This is one of my favorite sales movies. It's Tommy Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And here, okay, he explains why he kills sales, and it's this whole issue of just killing the sale. Okay,
Yeah.
so here he's going to explain what is it that he does to kill sales, and this is so typical of sales reps. Okay, all right, let's let this thing roll. Go for it.
Helen. That's nice. You look like a Helen. Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman. Let's say I go into some guy's office. Let's say he's even remotely interested in buying something. Well, then I get all excited. I'm like Jojo, the idiot circus boy with a pretty new pet. The pet is my possible sale. Oh, my pretty little pet. I love you. So I stroke it, and I pet it, and I massage it. Yeah, I love it. I love my little naughty pet. You're naughty. And then I take my naughty pet, and I go... Oh! I killed it! I killed my sale. That's when I blow it. That's when people like us have got to forge ahead, Helen. Am I right?
Oh, my God. That's so
Sorry,
funny.
That is hard not to laugh. I've heard that clip like 5 times today in preparation for this, and I just laugh at it every time. That is so funny.
If you've ever been in a sales situation, it's doubly funny just because Chris Farley is funny, but then the reality check it creates is also pretty funny.
Yeah, and there's another clip we're going to let you listen to of how that looks at the actual meeting with the client. Okay, and here's how it sounds. Okay, sales reps, please listen. Sales managers, catch this. Okay, when your sales reps are listening to clients, okay, and they're telling their needs, it is very easy for the sales rep to say, "Oh, we can do that."
Oh, yeah.
Or they go, "Oh, well, yeah, we could offer this."
Yep.
So wait a minute. What just happened was the client was talking, and all of a sudden, the sales rep, I may have a sale here.
That's right.
And then they go for the kill.
That's right.
Okay, and then they throw out an option or they throw out a solution way too early.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and now it changes the discussion entirely, and if it's not the right solution, that the client wanted, and especially at the moment when the client was ready to talk solution,
Right.
that person's going to be quiet on you.
That's right.
You just killed your sale.
Yeah, I recently was with a prospect who eventually became a client, and in our first meeting, he didn't really hear what he was wanting to hear, and he said to me later, he said, when we had our first meeting, I thought you weren't the company, you weren't the right one for us. Later, I went back and sat down with him one-on-one for 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, he said, "I think now you understand."
Right.
And
Right. Because you were
we
willing to
ready
listen.
Exactly. At that point.
That's right.
Now, if I put a solution in front of him, he feels like he can trust my judgment. But until then, I'm just throwing something in front of him going, "Want to buy this?
Right.
How about, you want to buy that? How about
Right.
this? How about this? Hey, we got all kind of stuff to buy. Why don't you buy it all?" It doesn't work.
It just doesn't.
He doesn't trust me.
Because that's another error that we make, that people who talk more are better sales reps.
Yeah.
The extroverts are better sales reps. That's not necessarily true. Ready? You know who's the best sales rep? Is the one who can listen better.
That's exactly it.
Is the one who can actually show the client that, look, I am shutting up and I am listening and I am only going to talk whenever it really contributes something.
That's right.
And so it will get a lot more into the whole issue of when are you identifying the need and when do you go for a close.
Right.
Okay, but the key is for your sales reps to realize that it's not about pushing product. Again, we're going to get that once you get to the actual close. It's not about putting the product out there. It's about connecting with them at different levels first and then having a place to be able to talk about the product. All right, so I just love that video.
Yeah.
I love that video.
Chris Farley's so funny.
All right, so what we're going to cover next, all right, in our next segment, is we're going to cover the whole thing we mentioned to you earlier about routine.
That's right.
Okay, about the whole routine and about what it means to get into a routine, the importance of routine, and that's when we'll listen to the audio clip from Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so stick along with us. We're going to be catching you on the back end. This is Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Welcome back to the Team Real World Radio Show on 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Blondie's going to get you one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly your attitude that you should have when you're in sales.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point.
It is.
Yeah.
We picked the songs for a reason. I don't know why we keep picking the same songs, but we make them work.
Yeah, that's right.
One way or the other, okay? One way or the other, you have to have the attitude that you are in sales for the single purpose of what? Selling.
That might just sound too obvious to be said out
Your
loud. But
job is to sell. It is
Yep.
to close business.
Yep.
Now, here, I'm just going to become Alec Baldwin, okay? All right? Put that coffee down. Okay? Coffee's for winners, not for losers. Okay? I have a friend, okay?
Uh-huh.
All right? Same age as I was. Well, same age as I am, okay?
Yeah.
Started his career the same that I did. All right?
Uh-huh.
But he picked up on this attitude at the age of 19. It took me until I was 26 or 27 to realize what it meant to be focused, all right? And we would go to the same office. He would be in his cubicle. I would be in my cubicle. And I would come back with my cup of coffee. After about 10, 15 minutes, he would not pick up his cup of coffee until he had first done his first sale.
Interesting. Very interesting.
He would not, and basically he would not reward himself. And he would take the idea, coffee is for winners.
Wow.
Whoever gets up and gets a cup of coffee and rewards himself when there is no sales on the table, you're just rewarding air. And he would tell me this, and I'm going, yeah, right. Okay? Go ask him how many houses he can pay cash for right now. Go ask him how many times he's bought his mom her cars cash.
Uh-huh.
Okay, by the age, let's see, I was 46. By the age we're both 38, he'd already clocked about $50 million.
Wow.
Why? One company in Dallas, Texas, hired him 3 years later.
Uh-huh.
He became the top salesman, and then he said, I want to be manager, and then he taught everybody how to do sales the way he did sales, and that company skyrocketed to the leading antivirus company in the world.
Wow.
With this young man teaching everybody. And his number one rule was, when you get here, I better not see your cup of coffee.
Huh.
Because he always said you should always be closing, not always be coughing. Isn't that good?
Yeah, it's
so
very good.
he took the whole Alec Baldwin thing and he changed it, and he made it a rule. I better not see if I see you with a cup of coffee, you better tell me you got a deal. If you don't have a deal, I better not see you. You better be back on your desk. Why? Because you should always be closing. So here's Alec Baldwin. We had to bleep a lot. We couldn't use the whole segment because he curses so much.
Yeah.
So here's the shortest segment of it, okay?
A, B, C. A, always, B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. AIDA, attention, interest, decision, action. Attention. Do I have your attention? Interest. Are you interested? I know you are, because it's or walk. You close or you hit the bricks. Decision. Have you made your decision for Christ? An action. AI.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So for now, because he said a whole lot in the little clip, okay?
Right.
He basically said ABC, and then he said AIDA. So for now, let's deal AIDA later.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
For now, let's just keep the ABC, all right? You should always be closing.
Right.
Let's make a reference to football.
Okay.
Okay? How many chances do I have at a first down, John?
Well, unless every
Four.
I see what you're
Maximum
saying.
four.
Yeah.
Maximum
I got
four,
you.
right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now, could I score a first down with one play?
Sure.
Could I score? Could I mark a first down with 2 plays?
Yep.
Could I do it in 3 plays?
You could.
Can I do it in 4 plays?
Yes, you can.
All right. So the goal is to move at least 10 yards, moving the chains.
Right.
Right. What if those chains don't? What if the chains don't move?
You're going to have to punt.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose sales.
Right.
So that's the analogy here.
Sure.
If you punt, you lost it, or
Right.
they got the okay. So as long as you're moving the chains long enough to where you don't run out of downs to the first down, is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Because eventually you're going to score.
Exactly. And as long as you do that more times than the other team, you're safe because you
Right.
can win a game 7-0.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So with that in mind, that's what it means to always be closing. Closing is not closing the deal at the end. Closing is, did you close that appointment?
Did you take the next step?
Did you take the next step? That's right. Did you get the first down? Did you get, you know what I'm saying? Did you go 3 yards? Did you go 4 yards? Did you get 6? And within a certain time, did you get to a first down? You're closing, because in sales, it's not about waiting till the end to ask the big question. It's about getting a lot of little yeses throughout the process, through a conversation. So when Baldwin says always be closing, at least in our world, in the team world, that's what that means. If you're going to make 40 calls, we want you to close a whole bunch of them. Now, does that mean that it's the final decision? No. I want you to close. If you're going to make 40 calls, I want you to at least close 6 calls or 10 calls where you ask the question, can we meet Tuesday or Thursday? And I need you to get a yes.
Yeah. It's somewhere in there, if there's, in this sense of closing, somewhere in there is a commitment from the prospect.
Right.
Somewhere, if that prospect smiles and nods and then the sales rep comes back to the office and says, they love us.
Oh,
you didn't close.
Yeah, and see,
You didn't close.
so again, sales rep, I hope this is helping. If you can't expect to close a deal after 3 meetings, if you're not good at closing with a 2-minute phone call for the next appointment.
Exactly. If you at any juncture in the process, you're not moving toward the next needed commitment to get to the touchdown,
You're not closing.
whatever it is. If it's the next appointment, if it's can we set the next appointment and your vice president comes to the meeting? Will you make the commitment
There
to
you
invite
go.
him to
so
it?
for example, I cold call somebody, and in 2-3 minutes, I get them to say yes to a meeting.
Yeah.
That's a closing.
Exactly.
It's not a touchdown.
Right.
But it's, you know what I'm saying? Hey, in my opinion, that's a 30-yard pass.
Yes.
Okay. Then I go meet with the person. Then we step into phase 2, which is the discovery. We'll cover that later. And at the end of the discovery meeting, okay, or some companies call it the verification meeting, or, you know, the time when you sit down and try to figure out if there's a good fit, right?
Right.
At the end of that meeting, after 45 minutes to an hour, sales reps usually sit through that whole meeting gathering all this information, and what do they not do at the end of that segment?
They don't get the next appointment set up.
So they go back to cold calling.
Exactly. That's exactly what
So
happens.
wait a minute. You close the first meeting, you close 45-minute discussion, and you then ask the next question of when we can meet next week and close that,
Right.
and yet you expect to get that person to sign that contract 3 weeks later? Not going to happen.
That's exactly right.
Sales reps, don't buy it. It's not going to happen. One of your first questions you should ask when a rep comes back and says, "Oh man, I had a great meeting with such as we got along great. It was wonderful. They told me this, they told me that. They want this, they want that." Babe, your first response should be, "All right, man, good job. Go get some coffee." All right. Then when they come back, they get their coffee. You should be asking, "Hey, when is the next meeting, and is it on your calendar?" Okay, wait a minute. So you didn't close the next meeting. Here's the number one answer. If we were playing Family Feud, you'd get 100 points for this one. They told me they were going to go check their schedule.
Oh, yeah.
And for me to call them back later.
Oh, yeah.
You have
Such
just
a
shown
sad
me.
Story
You
that
have
is.
just shown you should not be in sales.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you close the first one and you were there for 45 minutes and you didn't close it, guess what? The same young man, he told me, Maurice, in every meeting, a sale always happens.
Yeah.
You're either going to close the next meeting or they're going to sell you on the idea of why they can't close the next meeting.
Oh, yeah.
A sale always happens. You're either selling them on the next steps or they're selling you as to why the next step can't happen. And if you buy into that, you just got sold instead of you selling them.
Yeah.
That's how, sales managers, this is how you measure whether somebody's going to work out. If your sales trips are not working out and the executive comes by and goes, "So, hey, this Maurice guy, how do you think he's, I'm a little concerned about him because he's not, well, I'm still working with him, and I really think he's going to be able to pull it out." See, all that's all vague language.
Right.
That's all wishful thinking. Okay.
Right.
No, that's not how you manage sales. You manage sales objectively. How many calls did it take for this person to get how many meetings?
Right.
How many meetings were actually attended and not rescheduled?
Right.
How many meetings got attended and produced a list of needs? And then of those meetings, how many did they set the next meeting to in how much short time afterwards?
Right.
Start measuring that, and there's where I'll tell you whether you have sales reps or not.
That's right.
It's got nothing to do with product.
That's right.
You could be selling anything.
That's right.
But most sales reps fail because they're not disciplined enough to always be closing.
To always be closing.
To always be closing.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yep.
Well, now we got to close this segment.
You have my commitment.
And we still haven't gotten to routine.
I know.
We got to get to routine here.
We do.
So we'll cover that on our next segment. You are listening to Team Real World on Talk 107.3 FM
WBRP.
Welcome back to the Team Real World radio show on 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
All right, we promised it. We're talking about sales. We got to talk about routine.
Let's do it.
Okay? What do you mean by routine? Here's sales managers. Here's what I normally do to help my sales reps get in a routine, get in a pattern. I normally ask them, "So what do you do on Monday mornings?" And they tell me what they do on Monday mornings. I says, "Great. Do you do that every Monday morning?" "Oh, well, no, it all depends."
Oh, that's not a routine.
Ooh, you know what the excuse is? You know what the excuse is? Here's the number one excuse. Saying, "Oh, but the children." If it's not the children, "Oh, but the puppy dogs."
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Ready? "Oh, but the client.
Oh, yeah.
The client needs to meet with me on Monday at 8 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
And I always, whenever the client tells me, Whenever they want to meet, that's when I jump.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Wow. That's a killer.
It is.
That's a killer.
Yes,
Well, there's
it
no
is.
routine. Why? Because, look, here's a good way to test it. Sales managers, ask your sales rep to meet with you on Fridays at 10 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, clients will want to meet at 10 o'clock on Friday.
Yep.
Then say, okay, all right, we'll move it to Thursday at 4 o'clock. Watch what happens. They will always be with a client Thursdays at 4 o'clock. Then go ahead and say, oh, you know what? We will move it at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'll meet where? In Timbuktu.
Yeah.
They won't be able to show up. Why? Because they all of a sudden have a client at 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
Okay. The excuse is always that a client cannot be told, I'm sorry, but that time slot, I already have something. How about, and then you give the client another option.
Yeah.
Because if you always give the perception that whatever the client says as far as time-wise, well, that means you don't have a structure.
Right. You don't have a routine.
And this is how you're going to handle my account, right?
Right.
Right. See, they forget that the clients are humans that can smell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when they see sales reps running raggedly, running basically by the winds of the air, whatever the pressure point is at the moment, it's always crisis management. They are going to realize that is not how I want my account to be handled.
Yep.
So routine really means that there has to be. Let's get into the actual content of the routine.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Absolutely. Yeah, go right ahead.
For example, this is just a general one. Now, of course, it's different for every industry. In the mornings, make phone calls.
Yeah.
Between 8 and 10:30, make phone calls.
We're not talking about rocket science here. We're talking about consistency. So if what we say is between 8 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock in the morning, I pick up the phone and I dial it 40 times.
That's right. That's
and
it.
I make sure if there's a hurricane, if the building just burned down, if my leg just got dismembered, I am going to dial this phone 40 times between 8 and 10.
And if your leg got dismembered, always be closing while the dismembered happened.
That's right.
Tell me another reason why you can't be
That's
closing.
right.
Okay? Because you have to protect the thing that everybody hates the most, and that's cold calling.
Yep.
So you have to do that. Get in the morning, get finished by 10:30, get out and set yourself a pattern, a goal. After 10 o'clock, between 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock, give yourself a contest. 3 solid or 4 or 5, whatever the industry, depending on how big your product is and how big the sales cycle is. Okay? 3, 4, 5 solid meetings that you can meet with clients between 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning all the way to 4 o'clock.
Yep.
And you do that every single day. There are some
Yes.
exceptions. We'll talk about those later. But just start keeping a routine.
Yeah.
And then go to your manager or managers, go to your sales reps and say, look, I want to meet with you on Thursdays from 10 to 12 and block that time. And that time is unacceptably challenged, except, of course, if all of a sudden Exxon calls you.
Sure, that's right, yeah.
Or,
Somebody calls.
major account. But other than that, that is protected time.
That's right. And it sounds like, well, that doesn't sound that hard, but my goodness, when you really want to establish a routine, you will become aware of all of the sort of against the stream dynamics that happen at that point, because routines have to be built. They don't just happen.
Right.
You don't just decide there's going to be a routine and you're in a vacuum and so it just starts happening.
Right.
Everything else that wants to prevent that routine from happening, including the forces inside of you, they all show up pretty much all at the same time.
I would tell you this. It's not just because we're basically, broken records about a routine. If you don't have a routine, you likely don't have a game plan.
That's true.
If you want to make $6 million, or if you want to make $1 million in 1 year, then you got to figure out what that means per month.
Yep.
Then you got to figure out what that means per week.
Yep.
Then you got to figure out what that means per day.
Yep.
Then you got to figure out how many calls you got to make per day. And you got to basically figure out of 10 calls, out of 100 calls, you're probably only going to get 8 meetings. Out of those 8 meetings, you're probably only going to get 3 proposals. Of those 3 proposals, you're probably going to have 1 close.
Yep. Unless that closes for $1 million.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to play the game. Otherwise, you should not be in sales.
That's it.
Okay, this clip is a fascinating clip of how the man in the movie Pursuit of Happiness realized the reality of that. You've got to protect your minutes. You got to get into your routine, and you got to play the routine.
Yep.
Okay, let's go for it. Listen to that clip.
Whoever brought in the most money after 6 months was usually hired.
Yes, hello, Chris Gardner calling from Mr. Walter Hoffman.
We were all working our way up call sheets to sign clients. From the bottom to the top.
Yes, sir. How
From
are
the
you,
doorman
Mrs. Gardner?
to the CEO.
Okay.
They'd stay till 7, but I had Christopher. I had to do in 6 hours what they'd do in 9.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm calling from Dean Witter.
In order not to waste any time, I wasn't hanging up the phone in between calls.
Okay, thank you very much.
I realized that by not hanging up the phone, I gained another 8 minutes a day.
Why, good morning to you. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm calling from Dean Witter.
I also wasn't drinking water, so I didn't waste any time in the bathroom.
Yes, I'd love to have the opportunity. Okay, no problem at all, sir. Thank you very much.
But even doing all this, after 2 months, I still didn't have time to work my way up a sheet.
We're feeling really confident about that one as well.
Walter Ribbon's office.
Yes, hello. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm calling from Mr. Walter Ribbon.
Concerning?
Yes, ma'am. I'm calling from Dean Witter.
Just a moment.
Hello?
Mr. Ribbon. Well, hello, sir. My name's Chris Gardner. I'm calling from Dean Witter.
Yeah, Chris.
Yes, Mr. Ribbon, I would love to have the opportunity to sit with you to discuss some of our products, and I'm certain that I could be of some assistance to you.
Can you be here in 20 minutes?
20 minutes, absolutely.
Just had someone cancel. Come now. I'll give you a few minutes before the 49ers. Monday Night Football, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Now you're going to say, yeah, but that's just a movie. No, that first of all, that was real life.
Yeah.
And listen, I've been in sales for now 20 years, and that is real life.
Oh, yeah. I used to be a professional fundraiser before I got into consulting, and I'll tell you what, I had a moment very similar to that where the president of a very significant company in the community I was then living in, we wanted someone from his company, not him. We didn't think we had a shot at him, to get involved with the entity I was with, was the Boys and Girls Club. And we said, can you send us somebody? And he just said, almost just like that.
Yes.
Well, how about me?
Yeah.
And we said, and then he said, in fact, I just had a cancellation. Can I go over and see the club right now? And we went, and so we said, of course, and we just said, oh, sure. And we ran out of the building, got on the phone and said, clean everything up. He's coming over right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you talk to sales rep, there's stories like that constantly.
Yeah.
Don't miss the point, though. He said that if he realized that if he didn't hang up the phone, the receiver, and he just simply put his finger on the phone itself, he would save how many minutes a day?
8 minutes a day.
8 minutes a day. Now you're thinking, oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Have you ever done the numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Here are the numbers. Ready? Go do them yourself. Every 15 minutes wasted per day at the end of the year turns out to being 3 weeks of work time wasted.
Fascinating.
Just add you want to know why your sales are not high? Because your people are wasting 8 to 15 minutes getting coffee, drinking water, and they're not focused 100% of their 60 minutes closing.
In addition to that, you have to be so focused on getting good at your process to even have the thought, I can gain 8 minutes a day.
Sure.
I mean, he's got to be so tuned in to exactly how he's doing it over and over and over again to even be able to get into that frame of mind.
Right. It doesn't just happen.
Right.
That football is not going to move itself.
That's right.
There's going to have to be pushing. There's going to have to be running. There's going to have to be sweat. Your sales reps are going to hate it. You're going to be basically having everybody constantly notice that, look, I want to know what you guys are doing all the time.
Yep.
Because if I know that you waste 15 minutes a day and that equals to 3 weeks at the end of the year, what if I can't even keep track of what you're doing on any given 1 hour?
Yeah, that's right.
Guys,
that's right.
Sales managers, always be closing. All right, today was a really good radio show. We covered a lot of the basics. We're going to continue this on a next radio show. Come back for more. We haven't covered a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't covered stuff like how do you keep the client from hiding from you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
How do you keep them from taking your information and shopping
passing
against
it to
you?
others? All right,
Yep.
sales managers, how do you keep your sales reps from hiding from you?
Oh, yeah.
How do you get them to talk to you?
Yep.
Okay? But we're going to have to go figure it out, then come back and do the radio
That's right.
show, okay? So,
Yeah.
Hey, guys, we finish off with the Beatles. You Never Give Me Your Money. Great song.
That's
Did you
right.
know this Sunday, 50 years ago, Ed Sullivan Show.
That's right. As you're listening to this right now, it's Sunday. It's 50 years
That's
today.
right. You're listening to the show today on Sunday. Today. It happens to be February the what? What's going to be February? The 9th. February the 9th. Yep. 50 years ago. Ed Sullivan Show. So we leave you off here with the Beatles. You're listening to the Team Real World on Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.